gives me immense pleasure to deliver this talk on the sensitive skin. And I dedicate this talk in the memory of Dr. Rekha Seth, who has pioneered this association and brought this specialty to the limelight. And I don't have any conflict of interest. Now, what is this reduced sensitive skin? By definition, it is a reduced tolerance to frequent or prolonged use of cosmetics or toiletries. It can also be used for defining a condition where a person is not able to tolerate what the substances that they use each day, every day. Now, how do you classify this condition? It can be classified in two ways. One is those conditions which are associated with visible conditions, like atopic dermatitis is there, rosacea is there, contact dermatitis, seborrheic dermatitis, our topical steroid damaged face, airborne contact dermatitis. These are conditions in which the dermatitis is obvious, inflammation is there to be seen, itching is present, and these persons have a sensitive skin. They cannot tolerate anything that they apply on the face, and almost everything irritates them. Now, this is a condition which is very easy to understand. But then there is another chunk of conditions which are the invisible ones. These are the people who will come and tell, I have a very sensitive skin, I cannot tolerate any of the cosmetics, or that they will say that they are able to tolerate some cosmetics, they are not able to tolerate some cosmetics, and you should pay a lot of attention to what they say and try to prescribe those cosmetics or those substances which they claim they can tolerate, which they may or they may not be tolerating, but the very fact that they believe that they can tolerate is very important to decide the line of treatment in these patients. There is another way to define this condition. That is, people, as I told you, one with the obvious skin disease like rosacea or airborne contact dermatitis or topical steroid damaged face. Then there is a subclinical mild condition wherein the persons have a dermatitis which cannot be seen, and it is has not yet surfaced to this thing, or it is very, very mild, and because there is some amount of inflammation underneath the skin, these persons are also not able to tolerate. But here there is an inflammation, and in addition, if you expose them to some other chemical, they will not be able to tolerate. Then there are certain conditions where damage has occurred because of the dermatitis in the past, and this dermatitis has led the person to a sensitive skin. This we see in two instances, one on the face, wherein they believe that they are sensitive to anything and everything, and second thing is we commonly see in the crural area following fungal infection. These persons believe that they have fungal infection. You check them, there won't be any infection, there will be only some amount of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. But then because of the past insult in that case, they believe that their skin is sensitive. Possibly it is, because it has not repaired itself completely, and that causes the irritation. That means there has been a past insult. And then there are people who do not fit. They are the true sensitive skin. They do not fit in any of these three conditions. That means they don't have any obvious infection, there is possibly no subclinical infection, and there is no past history of any insult in these people. Now, history taking is a very, very important thing. Very often these people will be high-strung people, and they'll be very emotional, and they come with certain beliefs. And once people come with certain beliefs, they have already decided as to what they are going to tell and what they are not going to tell to the doctor. So, if you ask them, are you applying something? They will say, no, I am not using any cosmetics. By the look of it, you know that they are not telling the truth. And slowly, over a period of time, you will have to pull out the information from them, maybe sometimes not during the first visit. Unfortunately, we cannot give them a third degree like a lawyer who can tell them, tell me the truth. We cannot tell that. We will have to gradually ask them in different ways. Did you use anything in the past? Have you used anything in the past? Then of course if the spouse is there, often the husband is there or the mother is there, from them they will often contradict the patient, and that contradiction can be dilated upon very gently to find out what these persons. Sometimes these persons will definitely misguide us, and as I told you, many of these persons are in a denial mode. They don't want to accept the fact that they have been using various cosmetics or they have been experimenting with various conditions. So what are these various preparations that you should try to find out these persons have been using? This can be the list, and it can go well beyond this list. There can be many other substances which is not over here. Many of them would be using sunscreen, and many of them would be using the sunscreen that is bought over the counter. The disadvantage of the OTC sunscreen is that they add lot of other chemicals, preservatives, fragrances, and all many other antimicrobials are there to make it cosmetically more elegant. Lot of other substances are added, and these can also cause sensitization. Then they use moisturizers. Moisturizers can have preservatives. It can have substances like urea which can sting. It can have glycolic acid. It can have various fruit acids which are especially the one that is brought over the counter. These moisturizers can have many substances which can cause the irritation. Then of course indigenous preparation, they believe that if you grind tulasi, if you add haldi to that, they are very, very safe. Then of course fairness cream is a part of the life of India. I think from the day the child is born, the mother starts applying the fairness creams in the belief that the child should be very fair, which does a lot of harm. And then over a period of time, in the recent past, this combinations have come, double combo, triple combo, using retinoic acid, hydroquinone, steroids, in the belief the steroid will reduce the inflammation, and retinoids will improve the complexion, increase the turnover of the skin, and hydroquinone will reduce the pigmentation. Unfortunately, in medicine, 2 plus 2 plus 2 does not add up to 6. So in some persons the retinoids will irritate more, in some persons the hydroquinone will irritate more, in some persons the steroids will cause more amount of atrophy, and of course it depends on which type of steroid these persons are used. Perfumes, again you tell, they will say no, I don't use any perfumes, but then you ask them something for, do you use any anti-deodorants, then they will say I use deodorants. So you will have to take a very careful history with regard to the perfumes, and then over a period of time you will find that they will come to you with a battery of perfumes. Then many of these cleansers have got abrasive powders, and people themselves use abrasives on the face. Abrasives cause lot of damage. Like one of the questions commonly asked by the patient is, can I use kadalamav? Kadalamav is gram powder for washing the face instead of soap. The explanation to that is these substances, they clean the face by abrasion. And the best way to give an explanation is that imagine that you have a glass in front of you, and in that oil is there. The oil can be removed in two ways. You can put sand and remove the oil, rub away the oil. You could also use soap and wash it away. How the surface will be if you clean with sand, and how the surface will be if you clean it with soap. So these various powders, they often clean as abrasives. Where does this powder, does it have a role, this gram powder and all? Yes, it has a role when we have to use substances which, when a person is allergic to perfumes, in those persons one can ask them to use these various powders, because this is the only source wherein we know which does not have any fragrance. Even soap, which they say is perfume free, fragrance free, is not actually perfume free, fragrance free, because they are allowed to use the term to mask the bad smell. That much amount of perfume used to mask the bad smell is there in that, and still they can label it as fragrance free. Then of course various chemical peels at parlors, clinic, the facial procedures, people will apply dahi on the face, and sour, various lemon, various things they will apply on the face, and all these things can cause. So you will have to go through a very careful history about what these persons are applying on the face. And then having done this, we should try to find out if they are allergic to something, and the only way to prove is that. So very often we draw a blank with patch test, but then in certain cases you may strike gold. The reason being that we do this investigation for two reasons. One is these persons are already depressed, and if you do all this, then they believe that something is being done to them. That is one aspect. And we have found that when we do the patch testing, many people improve because they believe that now that the test has been done and they are not allergic to anything, then they are able to tolerate. And then the patch testing occurs in various series. First we do with the standard series, and then we can extend it with the preservative series, which itself contains about 35 various chemicals, and then with the patient's own material. Now this is by far the most important aspect of doing the patch testing. We should ask the patient to bring their own material, and sometimes you will find that a tray is full of materials with the person. That person who began with telling that I don't use anything over the face will subsequently come with a tray of various substances which they have been using, and patiently you must do the patch test with that. And when you do the patch test, you will find that there are cleansers over there. So patch testing with the cleansers is a different cup of tea. You will have to dilute it 1 in 10 times, that is 1 volume with 9 volumes of this thing of the cleanser. You will have to mix and then do the patch test. At the same time, you must watch out for irritant reaction for this. So irritant reaction also is significant. So patch test in case of the sensitive skin is not only to find out allergic reaction, is also to find out whether the person is developing irritant reaction to those substances which normally a person will not develop irritation. And you well know how to differentiate between the irritant reaction that occurs from the allergic contact dermatitis. When you do the patch testing allergic contact dermatitis, there will be more amount of itching, there will be pseudopodia like projections, there will be vesiculation and some oozing. Here of course, if it is very severe irritant, one can get blistering. Otherwise, mostly there will be some amount of erythema. Soap will have a glazy skin, will have a wrinkled skin when we use cleansers for patch testing. So these will give you an idea about what this person has been using and whether these substances can cause dermatitis or not. So standard series, patient's own material, and subject to availability, the preservative series. And then many of these persons would be using sunscreens. So almost somebody would have prescribed sunscreen, or they would be using the OTC sunscreen. Sunscreen has again numerous chemicals, and then what happens if one person buys a sunscreen, then the sunscreen often lasts for ages. If you use sunscreen the right way, one person should be using 3 bottles in a month. If one bottle lasts for a period of 3 to 4 months, that means they are not using the sunscreen properly. And what happens when you have the sunscreen for a long time? The various chemicals in this, especially if left outside, are highly degradable. The sunscreens degrade, and then they also can cause irritant reaction. They also can cause allergic reaction. And in addition, because they are capable of absorbing the light, UV light, mostly UVA light, they can also cause phototoxic as well as photoallergic reaction. So if you fail to find out the cause by regular patch testing, one can go for photo patch testing, wherein especially with the sunscreens which can be applied in and fragrances also, which can be applied in duplicate on either side, and then one side you expose to ultraviolet light and then take the reading to find out if the person is having photosensitivity or not. So the sensitive skin syndrome is a very dicey condition. It basically involves the sensory nervous system, and this conducts the touch, the pain, the temperature. These are the 3 main sensations, and the organelles responsible for conveying the sensation are there. This sensory nerves can be myelinated or unmyelinated. When it is myelinated, it has got a nice coating, and when there is coating, the sensation moves very rapidly. So in the A alpha, A beta, A delta, it moves. A alpha is the one where it moves the fastest. The sensation moves the fastest. And A delta, of course, for cold, noxious. But what we are mostly concerned is the C, which is got for the sensation. The C is for pain, and C is also for gentle. There are 2 types of C. One is there is 2 types of C. One is a slowly conducting unmyelinated C fibers. One is a relatively more rapidly conducting. For sensitive skin, we are more concerned with the slowly conducting unmyelinated C fibers, which conduct sensation over a very large area. And this is the one which, for example, you wash your face, you feel very happy. Or if someone, rubs your hand in a very gentle way, you feel very happy. These sensations are conducted by the unmyelinated C fibers. It causes bonding behavior. Now, until recently, it was considered that the free nerve ending in the epidermis is the one that carries the sensation, and that the stratum corneum is of no great consequence. It is only a layer. But of late, stratum corneum has been given lot of importance. There is a whole science that has come known as corneobiology, and it has got multiple functions. It has got UV protection, it is a barrier, it has got a acidic pH, it has got various hormones in it. The keratinocytes has got multiple receptors in it. The keratinocyte itself receives the information and moderates the various information and then passes it on to the C fibers. So the whole concept with regard to the passage of sensation has changed over a period of time. Then this sensitive skin is seen more often in the female as compared to men. Of course, nowadays there is a lot of change. Even men report with sensitive skin, but the most of the persons we see is in the older age people, either they are not too bothered about it, or in the old age sensitivity is less. Black is supposed to be less than Caucasoid. Asian skins are also quite sensitive. These people come to us with various symptoms. These symptoms could be because of itching. They can tell because of stinging, burning, tingling, prickling, numbness. So the various, sometimes they will say, it is something, I am feeling something different. Now they are not able to explain, which could be a combination of various sensations, and then they will tell it in their colloquial language, and trying to fit it into these sort of symptoms which we know is very difficult. It seems some sort of khichdi sort of sensation which they develop, which difficult for us to discern what they are telling. How do you investigate these persons with sensitive skin syndrome? One, as I told you, patch testing is one of the most important tests. But then to find out whether these persons are sensitive. These persons are also known as stingers. They are sensitive to anything. There is the princess and the pea test, which is known. That person, there are many people who are acting as the princess, and the queen wanted to find out among these who is the real prince. So she puts a sort of pea under the bed, which has got a thick bed mattress, and on that she puts a bed sheet and asks various people. Others are comfortable, but thus princess is the one who has got such a sensitive skin. Sensitivity is considered as a great advantage, as a great advancement, and some persons consider it as a great deal of pride. Oh, my skin is very sensitive. They consider it as a great deal of pride. And the queen believed that the princess is the one who has got a sensitive skin, will be able to discern the pea beneath the mattress. So that is the sense. These are the various stingers. They are very sensitive to various things, and you could find out one of the commonest tests is by using the lactic acid sting test. The other test we can use is we can apply the various chemical, and then we can take out the skin layer by layer by stripping, and we can stain them and study them under the microscope to see if there is any deformity or irritant reaction like features involving the skin. Then transepidermal water loss is a very common thing. Unfortunately, we don't use it, but if there is dermatitis, you will find that in many of the persons there is increased amount of transepidermal water loss. Many instruments are available to measure it, but none of them are totally acceptable to be foolproof. Chamber test is one of the tests which can be found. We have done chamber test, especially for soaps. Chamber test is first you apply a chemical in the chamber, leave it on for 24 hours, and then wash the area, and then apply it for 3 hours each day for 5 days. This is one way. There are numerous modifications for chamber test. When there are so many numerous modifications, it basically means that people don't accept what is there. Of this, I will be discussing about the lactic sodium hydroxide skin test. I think is used basically in France or Germany, wherein it is, but then it has also not been properly standardized. So we did this irritant this thing for the soap, wherein we used the chamber test, where we ranked the various soaps available based on the irritancy. Now, if you find that these persons are irritant to all the various soaps, so if a person is very sensitive, you could ask the person to bring the various cleansers they are using. You could dilute them 1 in 10 times, that is 1 volume of the cleanser with 9 volumes of water. Mix them well in test tube, label them 1, 2, 3, 4. You will have a very nice row of various colored solutions, and each of that you put on the back, and then look to find out if this person has got irritant reaction to the soaps which they are using. This gives some amount of information, not an absolute information, but gives some direction. Of this, as I told you, lactic acid skin test is the one which has been, sting test is the one that has been most often used. The face is cleaned with soap and water, and then sweating is induced on the face. Once sweating occurs, hydration occurs. Once hydration occurs, obviously there will be more amount of temperature, so the penetration occurs in the beneath the skin. Lactic acid is applied. There are 2 ways to apply lactic acid. One is to start on the right side of the side of the lip, and then move away from there over there using concentric movement, standardized movement. On one side we do with the lactic acid, on the other side we do with the saline. And then we ask for stinging after 1 minute, 2 minutes, various 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes we find out, and no stinging can be, no stinging, slight stinging, 2 stinging, moderate or severe stinging can be used. The other way is to use a 10% solution of the nasolabial fold after inducing, or with 5% after inducing the sweating. Why nasolabial fold? It is even when you do the peeling, you know that in many cases we are asked to apply, we are supposed to apply the petrolatum over the nasolabial fold to prevent, because this place has got a high density of hair follicle. There is a increased sweat glands over there. There is an elaborate network of nerves, and the skin is very permeable. So we could test for the stingers on this area also. And what are the various factors that influence? One, of course, these persons are very sensitive. They are very high-strung people, and so there is a lot of psychological impact. But then telling that the entire thing, laying it on psychology alone is not enough. Contact, as I already discussed, it could be contact irritant, contact allergic, contact photoallergic, contact phototoxic, or cumulative insult dermatitis, wherein because of long time exposure to an irritant, mild irritant, can cause the dermatitis. Environment, of course, we know that there is a lot of dust in the environment. There's a lot of fuel is there, diesel is there, mobile oil is there, various carbon is there, ash is there. Ash, when you burn, ash is potassium hydroxide, it is alkaline, so dust can have a high pH. All this, the environment, the various pollution can cause this. Then there is sunlight. Sunlight, ultraviolet light is one of the important factors in case of causing the sensitivity. So sunscreen becomes an important part, but as I told you, it can also be one of the causes. Then periods, when periods are there, because of the hormonal causes, both because of estrogen, the skin becomes more sensitive. Mainly because of the estrogen, skin can become more sensitive to the person. Even before periods, a person can have more sensitivity. And then there is regional difference, like as I told you, nasolabial fold over the eyelid, the sensitivity is different. Then yet another place where sensitive skin plays a very important role is the hand dermatitis, hand eczema, burning of the hand. Here the skin is so sensitive, and this is a real handicap for a person, especially for a young housewife or a person with children or a mother, grandmother who is taking care of the child. The sensitive hand is a very important even water will cause irritation. Why the water also cause irritation? Because the threshold for irritation comes down. What is the threshold for irritation? For example, if we touch the skin of a person, there won't be pain. But if there is an ulcer or an injury, and if we touch the skin, the same area of the skin away from that injury, that there will be pain. That is because the threshold of the skin has come down. Likewise, in case of sensitive skin, the threshold to irritation comes down. Again, when it comes to hand, rest is not possible. Hand is one of the, after the tongue or the mouth or maybe the mind is by far the busiest. Then the tongue would take, I think, the second phase, eyes may be the third, and then of course the hands. They are extremely busy, always up to something. They'll be either grasping something or leaving something, picking something, washing, so many activities. So hand never gets rest. And so if you apply a topical on the hand, the topicals will rarely stay. It will either go to the pocket or to the handles or to the telephone, somewhere it will go off. So multiple applications are required when we are treating for the hand dermatitis. Then of course barriers are by far the best. Gloves can be used but rarely practical. Barriers are by far the best, but then there is no real good barrier cream. Various has been tried. Of the various barrier cream, I find that the best one is the one that is used for nappy rash. It has got zinc oxide, silicone, and this adheres to the skin, and it helps to some extent. One of the common allergens is the fragrance, so we tell the persons to avoid using fragrance, and also which detergent to use for washing the hand. You should find the one that has got the pH that matches the skin. The one of the various we found was the Pril was the one which matched, but then this test was done nearly about 5-6 years ago, or even before that. After that, I am sure numerous other washes have come. It is very, very easy. All you have to put a litmus paper and find out what is the pH of that, and if you find it is very alkaline, it is not suitable, you take up any hand wash, find out with the litmus test, a pH of 5 to 6 would be suitable for the this thing. And then Dettol. Dettol is by far one of the most omnipresent substance. There is so much advertisement going on. Everybody buys Dettol. There is nobody who does not buy Dettol. Even the nappies are washed with Dettol. So do ask whether the person is using Dettol. The residual Dettol is an irritant, can cause lot of problems and should be avoided in these people. And then I tell people, don't buy Dettol. Clothing can cause, the clothing, especially the new clothes, will have lot of chemicals, will have formalin, and the clothes will have numerous other chemicals to prevent wrinkling. And then but the most important aspect of the clothing that causes irritation is the residual soap in it. Once washes, especially in the washing machine, the soap does not go off, there is residual soap over there that can cause. And various fibers can cause itching. Wool fibers can cause itching. Some fibers which does not permit sweating, does not absorb sweating, will increase sweating, will increase temperature, and that can result in sweating. And then those which absorb the sweat very well will become more transparent to the light, and because there is more transparent to light, in spite of wearing dress, they get sunburned in spite of wearing the dress. Then how do you manage this sensitive skin? So managing this sensitive skin is again a very tough ask. Finding out the cause is very important, but then as I said, it is more easily said than done. The we can say that sort of manages itself over a period of time. Individuals with obvious skin disease is one of the conditions which you treat the skin disease. And by treatment of the skin disease, you use topical steroid, you use emollients, and try to treat them. And then you can give barriers. Like I told you, one of the barriers is the one which I just described, is the one that is used in the nappy rash. Other one which is one of my favorite is asking person to take a hot pack. In the hot pack, they can take slightly a hot pack with a larger diameter, pour little warm water or even hot water, and add 1 spoon of Vaseline to that. This Vaseline would melt and form a layer on the top of it, and this can be covered by the clothing. And then beside that hot pack, they can keep one of the towels. A napkin can be kept beside that. So any work, before doing any work, after doing any work, they can dip this. The water should not be hot. It can be lukewarm, and they can dip the hand in that and remove the hand. The water, once they go in, the water gets absorbed, and as the hand comes out, the Vaseline coats the hand. And then after keeping the hand idle for about 30-40 seconds, they can press it, not rub it on the napkin, and this gives a wonderful sense of comfort to the persons who have got a hand dermatitis. This has not been published, it is my own personal observation, but my patient seems to respond to this. Do give it a try, it might work in your case. Then of course, finding out the past insult. Very often the topical steroids are there. These are the topical steroid dependent phase, or the topical steroid damaged skin, which can occur both in the crural region, over the scrotum, over the perianal region, because of the pruritus ani, these persons would be applying lot of potent topical steroid. And then of course the face, as I told you, due to the triple combination, some would be applying even potent steroid for fairness. So these are the persons where they stop it, and even after stopping, the skin sort of demands the use of this topical steroid, and this skin is extremely sensitive. Here a lot of hand holding is required. These persons are on great stress. They will complain of burning. So I give them something like nortriptyline, that is tricyclic antidepressants in these cases, and this seems to work along with moisturizers, and tell them that you are going to go through a bad phase, and then only you are going to come out, and then these people come out. But then, as I told you, the most difficult would be the person with a normal skin. What do you do when a person comes with a normal skin and has got lot of sensitivity? As I told, there is always a hidden reason. We should try to find out a person with, be patient, try to find out what is the cause in this person that makes them sensitive. Listen to them. The art of listening is the one most important. Try to find out from them as to what they're able to. Some will be able to tolerate coconut oil, some will be able to tolerate Nivea cream, some will be able to tolerate baby lotion. Make a list of the various things which they are tolerating, and then based on that you can give them, and then you can give them cleansers which are pH balanced cleansers. The one that is because skin has got an acid pH with them. Then we tell them when they wash their face, they can use lukewarm water, that they should not rub their face. It should not be, water should not be very hot. They should pat the skin dry and then apply the moisturizer that suits them. And if they're using sunscreen, make sure that the sunscreen does not have any chemical to which they are allergic to. So this is the one which I told you about, the hot pack. You can put water in that, you can add Vaseline to that, and the person can dip the hand in the water, and when they take out, just as we give in case of atopic dermatitis, in the bathtub. This is a mini version of that bathtub for the hand. You can say bathtub for the hand, or the hand tub, whatever you call that. You can dip the hand, take it out, pat it dry on the cloth, and then wear it, and then start working in the house. This coats, and the person is relatively comfortable. So this is a very tough ask, like this gentleman asked, what is this suffer, and no one can find the answer. So sensitive skin syndrome is a tough condition. When a person comes up, lot of hand holding is required, but eventually most of them do improve. So thank you very much, and for this opportunity to give this talk. Thank you very much.